Now, China has announced an extension to its anti-dumping investigation into European Union Brandy imports, citing the case's complexity.
The European Union voted for tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. China has given a tit-for-tat response. The country imposed temporary anti-dumping measures on the brandy imports from the European Union.
The French, or the brandy tariffs, they do predominantly impact France. 99% of the brandy coming from the EU into China comes from there. That's an industry that was worth $1.8 or so billion last year. When you're looking at cars and car parts coming from here in Germany to China, that's just over $29 billion.
Ever wondered why your evening glass of brandy might turn into a luxury you can only afford on special occasions? Or why the sleek, new electric car you've been eyeing could suddenly cost an arm and a leg? Well, strap in, because we're about to unravel a tale of international trade tussles, tariffs, and tit-for-tat that's turning the world of imports and exports into a high-stakes game of chess. From French vineyards to Chinese factories, how will these economic maneuvers affect your next big purchase? Let's find out. On Wednesday, China's Ministry of Commerce announced the extension of its anti-dumping investigation into brandy imported from the European Union by 3 months. The measures imposed by China require importers to pay security deposits of nearly 40% upfront for EU brandy, significantly increasing import costs. France's Ministry of Trade has criticized these measures as incomprehensible and in violation of free trade principles. Preliminary results released in October indicated that EU brandy dumping posed a threat to China's domestic industry. Consequently, China implemented temporary measures targeting EU brandy imports, affecting prominent French brands such as Hennessy and Remy Martin. This investigation is widely perceived as a retaliatory response to France's support for EU tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. French President Emmanuel Macron has previously described the probe as purely retaliatory. Background of the trade dispute. The European Commission's investigation into Chinese electric vehicle imports has resulted in significant tariffs aiming to address perceived unfair trade practices and safeguard the EU's domestic automotive industry. This move is part of a broader strategy to ensure a competitive and sustainable transition to electric mobility within the European Union. Why is the EU upset? Over the years, China has emerged as the largest producer and consumer of electric vehicles globally. In 2023, Chinese automakers sold approximately 13.6 million EVs, dominating global market share. Companies like BYD, NIO, and XPeng have become household names in the industry, with BYD surpassing Tesla as the top global EV seller. China's dominance is due in part to its ability to achieve economies of scale, supported by a robust domestic market that encourages mass production and cost efficiency. This industrial scale has allowed Chinese manufacturers to produce EVs at significantly lower costs than their global counterparts. For instance, it is estimated that Chinese EVs can be manufactured at costs up to 20% lower than those in Europe or the United States. This efficiency has enabled Chinese manufacturers to offer a wide range of EVs, from affordable entry-level models to premium vehicles, catering to diverse consumer needs worldwide. Technological leadership in batteries. China is a leader in the production and innovation of lithium-ion batteries, which are critical components of electric vehicles. The country produces approximately 75% of the world's lithium-ion batteries and hosts major companies like CATL, Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, and BYD, which are at the forefront of battery technology. CATL, for example, has developed advanced battery technologies, including solid-state batteries and fast-charging solutions. It has also pioneered new energy storage solutions such as sodium-ion batteries, which are considered a cost-effective and sustainable alternative for future energy needs. China's dominance in the battery sector is further reinforced by its control over the refining of key raw materials such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel. By securing access to these resources and investing in domestic processing capabilities, China has solidified its position in the global EV supply chain. China's technological advancements and cost leadership have created competitive challenges for European manufacturers. The influx of affordable Chinese EVs has put pressure on European automakers such as Volkswagen, Renault, and Stellantis to accelerate their transition to EVs while managing cost constraints. Additionally, Europe's dependence on Chinese-made batteries underscores the need for greater investment in local production capabilities. Efforts are underway in Europe to address these challenges. Initiatives like the European Battery Alliance and local battery production facilities by companies such as Northvolt are aimed at reducing reliance on Chinese imports and fostering innovation within the EU. The European Commission initiated an investigation into Chinese electric vehicle imports following complaints from European automakers and trade associations. The primary allegation is that Chinese manufacturers benefit from substantial state subsidies, enabling them to sell EVs in Europe at artificially low prices. The Commission contended that these subsidies distort market competition, creating an uneven playing field that disadvantages European manufacturers. The investigation revealed that Chinese EV manufacturers receive significant financial support from the state, including direct grants, tax rebates, discounted land for manufacturing facilities, and access to low-interest loans. These subsidies allow Chinese manufacturers to price their EVs significantly lower than their European counterparts, often undercutting them by 20% to 30%. This price disparity poses a severe threat to the EU's domestic automotive sector, particularly as it transitions to EV production, a capital-intensive process requiring substantial investment in new technologies and infrastructure. Implementation of tariffs. In response, the European Commission introduced tariffs on Chinese EV imports, with rates varying depending on the manufacturer. BYD Auto faces a tariff of 17.4%, while Geely Auto is subject to an 18.8% tariff. SAIC Motor was initially assigned a 38.1% tariff, which was later revised to 37.6%. These measures are applied in addition to the existing 10% import duty imposed on all foreign vehicles entering the EU. Designed to last for 5 years, the new tariffs aim to address the competitive disadvantages created by subsidized imports and protect the European automotive market from further disruptions. Chinese manufacturers' response? Several companies are considering establishing production facilities within the EU. BYD, for example, has announced plans to build a manufacturing base in Hungary, which would allow it to circumvent the tariffs. China has criticized the tariffs as protectionist measures and has hinted at the possibility of legal action through the World Trade Organization, WTO. Chinese officials have argued that the EU's actions violate international trade rules. Implications of the EU tariffs. The measures have strained EU-China trade relations, with China condemning the tariffs as protectionist and retaliating with actions targeting EU exports, including Brandy. The increased cost of Chinese EVs could alter consumer preferences in Europe, potentially boosting demand for domestically manufactured alternatives or imports from other regions. The EU's actions have implications beyond Europe and China, as they set a precedent for addressing concerns about subsidies and trade imbalances in the rapidly growing global EV market. China's retaliatory measures. In response to the EU's tariffs, China introduced provisional anti-dumping duties on EU brandy imports, escalating the trade dispute. These measures targeted a key European export sector, particularly French cognac producers, and further deepened the tensions between the two economic powers. China's Ministry of Commerce retaliated by targeting EU brandy imports, particularly affecting French cognac producers. The ministry claimed that the influx of European brandy threatened substantial damage to its domestic industry, justifying the anti-dumping duties. Impact on French brandy exports. France is the predominant exporter of brandy to China, accounting for 99% of the country's brandy imports. In 2023, French brandy shipments to China were valued at approximately $1.7 billion, underscoring the significance of this market for French producers. Major French cognac houses, including Hennessy, Remy Martin, and Martell, face increased costs due to the tariffs, potentially reducing profit margins and making their products less competitive in the Chinese market. The higher prices may lead Chinese importers and consumers to seek alternatives such as domestic brandy or spirits from other countries not subject to such duties, threatening the market position established by French brands. Following the announcement of the tariffs, shares of companies like LVMH, owner of Hennessy, Remy Cointreau, and Pernod Ricard experienced declines, reflecting investor concerns over the potential impact on sales and revenues. Let's take a quick pause. If you've enjoyed the video so far, could we ask a small favor? Hitting the like button helps us reach a broader audience, and sharing your thoughts or feedback in the comments makes an even bigger impact.